killed by Indian security forces. I returned home to Pulwama in Kashmir and saw my father's dead body with visible signs of torture. My father's crime was that he had allowed the Jammu Kashmir Liberation Front, JKLF, a group wanting independence from India, to use his printing press. So after my mom became extremely distressed, collapsed into the coma, and she never recovered and died 3 months later. The anger over my parents' death had driven me to increasingly involve with JKLF, an organization protested peacefully against the Indian government for independence of Kashmir. In March 1996, Indian security forces in Gurez arrested me and 3 of my friends. We were taken to an interrogation center. We were separated and tortured. I never saw two of them again. I was stripped and forced to endure the freezing Kashmir nights in a desolate cell. They got a wooden rule and put it on top of my legs while somebody stood on it and rolled it up and down. The pain was enormous. They kept asking me questions about Mujahideen, but I didn't know anything about them. They ripped out of my fingernails and then poured chili into it.
What are we doing? What are we doing? There's people inside here that have gone through physical torture, okay? And they are being treated like this. I'm not sure about you guys, but if I was in a situation where I was fleeing my country, I would expect to be welcomed with open arms if I was lucky enough to make it out alive. I really have not been as physically and emotionally moved as I have been doing this trip, and I will not rest. I will not rest until the policy is changed. And actually, why not call for Ruddock to be tried on crimes against humanity?
The day after we left, 58 people put needle and thread through their lips in protest of their treatment. Now I ask you, what better symbol of the lack of communication than sewing up your own lips? What was our good leader John Howard, or what was our good leader Philip Ruddock's response to 58 people putting needles through their lips? It was this, and I quote, "Well, they only put in 1 stitch, and it doesn't really hurt anyway." I put the challenge to Philip Ruddock to come before the Australian people and to put a needle through his own lips.
Twin City,
Is there anybody in charge? Or?
No, we're all in charge. You can speak to any of us. Yeah.
You want us, I just want to have a chat to you.
Yeah.
See what you're doing, where you're going, that sort of stuff. Do you
Well,
want to talk to the whole lot, or?
Sure. If you'd like to.
What are your plans as far as the detention centre goes?
I have no idea. Well, we're hoping to visit.
Have you made any contact with these people up here?
Yeah, we've got contact.
Just so that we know what's going on and where you're likely to be, because you're likely to attract some attention.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we hope so.
That's our aim.
And
Preferably good.
I mean, you are also likely to attract some attention from perhaps the locals that don't see your cause as a just or a good cause.
We're not there to sort of ram it down anyone's throat. We just basically, we are in a free country and everybody's got their opinion, you know.
So where are you staying?
We haven't made any plans for
Got any idea of that?
Haven't looked at a caravan park or anything?
No, not yet.
Is there a nice place you can recommend?
Room?
Oh, we're definitely going to be here, Ken. Yeah, it is hot.
At one of the caravan parks, is that what you're looking at?
We just said.
Well, I mean, there's caravan parks, or you're going to camp in the bush or on the beach?
Well, we've been camping as best we can because...
Not using caravan parks?
No. We've been using free camp spots wherever we can. Last night we were called up on there.
I'll be on this weekend. Any problem, give me a call.
Thank you.
Okay, see you later.
Is Sunday the day that you're planning to go and try and visit, or tomorrow?
I don't know when we are, hey, like, I'm just getting hot and bothered,
Seem to
hey.
be getting the impression that you don't like us being here talking to you and trying to find out what's going on.
We're just really hot, you know, like we've been driving for 3 days to get here and, you know.
We're in about the same temperature as what you are standing out here in the sun. So
You might be used to it though, I'm not, I'm Sydney girl.
all we want to do is try and find out what you guys have got planned so that we can do something about it. If we don't know what you're doing, we're going to be sitting at home looking at what you guys are out there.
Well then, you know it now. If you really believe that their intentions are to protect us from the locals,
I don't believe that. But
they're not going to arrest the locals, they're going to arrest us if there's trouble, like they're not our friends.
Maybe then you guys need to get off. I didn't want them to come on the bus. Maybe you guys
Penny was leaning out the door and going, we don't know what our plans are. We don't know what our plans are. And then both you and Mary Liz talked about how we were going on to, like, you know, what we were doing. We're just going to visit. We're just going to visit. It's okay. We're just going to visit, you know.
And I don't know what Mary Liz thought, but he was getting pretty pissed off with those sort of answers.
I think that the way Natasha, you approach him was antagonising him. I think he is simply...
I was, yeah. Like,
I
but
don't need that.
to be.
I don't need to do that.
And
You know, and I don't think the rest of the people don't need that to happen. There's a way to deal with them, and there's a way to deal with them. I'm really happy.
To deal with it, and you can say heaps, like politicians do it all the time. You can talk for half an hour and absolutely say nothing, and that's the way to deal
He
with it.
seemed to be asking really simple questions, and they had really simple answers that didn't need to be antagonised. And I don't think we need to antagonise them any further than we need to.
Maybe what we could do is, instead of you guys doing liaison next time, like other people...
I don't think I want you to do liaison personally. I really don't want you to do liaison.
Okay, I'll try not to,
you know,
but maybe
and
somebody else could.
Yeah, I'd be really happy for Richard to do liaison, or anybody else that doesn't have an antagonistic view towards the police.
When you interact with police and they say to you, what are you doing? And you say, I don't know. When they ask you again and again and again, they are the ones that are antagonising, not you. Like in a normal conversation, if I ask you a question and you give me an answer, and I keep asking you the same question, would you say to yourself, gee, I better not antagonise Penny, she's asking me the same question and I've told her the answer? You'd say, no, what's Penny doing? I've already fucking told her what I'm doing. Understand the dynamic, the uniform, the presence, the history, the psychology of being confronted with a police officer makes you act in a certain way. Once you understand that, you can reverse it and empower yourself.
The encounter with the police has definitely set up some alarm bells in our heads and gives us some idea what to expect in Port Hedland from the locals.
And he goes, right, you've got eight, do you want them or not? And I said to him, look, I don't think that we want to give our business to someone who's being as rude as you're being. And he goes, right, you know what, you should leave town before you divide the, what was it? You guys should leave town before you divide the community or something. It's the racism that's dividing your community. Yeah. But everyone on the street was like muttering and like cheering, and it was just horrible. I don't feel safe.
She feels intimidated by what's happening in this town.
I don't feel safe to be here in camp. Like, I know you can call the police, but like, what's that going to do if there's a whole, like, everyone's standing around looking at it? There's a whole bunch of men like coming up to where we camp or whatever. I just feel really, really.
Jump in the bus.
Australians, oh let us rejoice, for we are young and free, with golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is girt by sea, our lands abounds in nature's gifts.
You want me to smash the camera?
Rich and rich.
Take the camera away. I'll spray the fucking way.
Still a free country, mate. Go away! Go away! Free!
Let's see who's rocking up, mate.
It's a really hot potato up here,
obviously, yeah, obviously.
You know,
We've never come across this we visited all the detention centres around Australia. This is the first time it's happened. We had been warned though.
No such thing as a refugee.
when the women political parties and Ruddick and all those people come up before they were doing anything about this, it was huge. It filled the whole women civic centre over there. It was the biggest thing. And I'd say maybe about 80% of the people up here in Port Hedland are completely against having it here anyway to start with.
Yeah, so it's not so much the refugees they're upset with, they're just upset having it in the...
Well, smack bang in the centre of Port Hedland, exactly.
This gold-plated prepaid tax.
That's what we're trying to do, and look what you're doing to it.
What?
What, by supporting that lot? Yeah, right.
Any lot, if you were in there, brother, I'd be fucking...
Wait, hey mate, they've got more bloody worries about the people in their own backyard, the government in their own backyard, than worry about these pricks.
Call the ABC now! Fuck it!
ABC, Renee, dog bludgers too.
History's page, let every stage advance, Australia fair.
You guys uni students with nothing better to do or what? Look at the war that's happening in Afghanistan at the moment. How many hundreds of thousands of refugees you got there? Yeah, they're sitting there with their family huddled together. They've got nothing.
Refugees.
They are fair dinkum refugees. Anybody that can get on a boat out here now and pay $5,000, $4,000, whatever the hell the figure you want to put on it, $10,000 to get on a boat is not a refugee. A refugee's got nothing.
That doesn't mean they are wealthy.
If they're wealthy, they can afford to come here on their own merits. They can afford to put through the paperwork.
Well, they can't, because if you're in a country like Afghanistan, there's no Australian embassy where you can apply for a passport or a visa or whatever.
Yes, they can.
There is no Australian diplomatic presence in Afghanistan.
Or Iraq.
Or Iraq.
Yeah. Your average refugee, a fair dinkum refugee, I'll go back to exactly the same as what I started with. Is sitting there cuddling his family thinking, how the hell am I going to survive this?
Yeah, and if somebody...
And feed my family.
Yeah, and if you're in
and I haven't got $10,000 to get on a fucking boat.
If you give me $4,000, I'll take your family to safety, then you do everything you can to do that. I think that's a totally normal reaction, and I don't think that they should be punished for that.
And the biggest supports come from Indigenous people, eh?
Yeah.
I guess they know the story real well.
I guess so.
You know?
Yeah.
It would be too easy to dismiss our bad reception by most of the locals just as racist and ignorant. The facts are, Port Hedland is a town highly dependent on big companies for its survival. Multinationals have the town in their grips and are making a profit. Hardly no one has the courage to speak out and bite the hand that feeds them.
We don't need the shoes when we're going to do the extraction.
This video was recorded in May 2001 by ACM to show Mr. Ruddick how professional ACM staff is.
Due to operational need, one package is already in. Extraction team, you are to wear gas masks and your helmets.
Yeah guys, they had during this week, they did some extractions at Billwood. They wanted to move 20 Chinese from one compound to another one. They decided, oh yeah, we've got some extractions, let's get a team together, and they rolled down. They didn't do a briefing, they didn't do rehearsals, and it was a disaster. And our MD's in front of Parliament as we speak, explaining what happened. The detainees were belted about, bleeding, bruised. It was just not well done. So, DEMA in Canberra know this is going on today. Okay, I've told them that what they will see, because they will get a copy of the video, is that they will see some professionals doing their job in a professional and courteous manner. So have no doubt that the way you do your job today, and I know you do it well, I'm not going to tell you to do it well because I know that's just how it's going to be. How you do your job, if you're watched by the rest of the residents and if it's professional and courteous, then you'll get a lot of good standing. And I think it will help make things a bit easier on the ground for all officers if it goes well today. And also that this video is going to be beamed around the company. It's going to be beamed around DEMA.
Roger. I'm Mortaza Pourwadi. I'm 17 years old. I've been in Woomera, Port Hedland, and right now I'm in the Villawood Detention Center, and I'm 27 months in detention center.
You will not stay here anymore, and you will be moved to another place. We're not sure where that place is yet, so you'll be going somewhere temporarily, and then you'll be moving somewhere else if possible. At the moment, we're making sure that all your equipment and everything is okay.
guards, they report for me, or he wants to kill himself, or blah 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 blah. You see, I asked them, why? Do you have any reason for that? But the center manager, he says no. When you go to isolation, after you will understand what's the reason. And they took me to the isolation. They took my father to the police station. And after I said, okay, put me in with my father together. Put me in police station too. But they said, no, this is a RADOC policy and blah, 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 blah. You have to stay here. Your father have to stay there.
There, if you want. There. Calm down, please. No, with my father. No.
And they took me to one place, and again that's same officer who handcuffed me in Vomera. He was over there, and over there he was hitting me, and they handcuffed me and they put me in isolation for about 24 hours.
What do you remember the name of that officer?
Todd Francis.
The guard who roughed up Morteza, by the way, is not a detention guard, but a prison guard.
Okay, restraining. Yeah, hold it up.
I got it.
Where are you going to put him? In with the other washroom station. In here? Yep. You got flexi cup cutters, please? Cutters. Relax, mate, just relax. Okay? Okay. It's all over. Okay.
I will be kill myself.
No, you don't.
I made sure for you.
Do you?
I made sure for you.
That's silly.
I made sure.
All you have to do is relax and you're going to be reunited. Okay?
I will be kill myself. I will be. Okay. You're inside. I will be kill myself.
Okay. Can someone grab that knife and fork from there, please? You want to cut this hand here? Understand?
Unfortunately for ACM, things didn't go quite as planned with their spin doctoring. When the word spread out that Morteza was assaulted and put in isolation, the people's frustration erupted in anger. The video proves how under-resourced and badly managed ACM is. Some of the guards don't wear helmets because ACM is cutting costs.
Hold the ground! Okay.
Come on, you guys, get up! Get your hands up!
In. Get in! Gas mask in this team. Hey! Listen in! Who's got gas masks in this team? Okay, pass them to people who have got the shields and helmets on. We're about to go back and reclaim a piece of property. Hold on, boys.
rioted yesterday, attacking staff, smashing windows, setting fire to furniture. The federal opposition says enough's enough, calling for an immediate judicial inquiry.
Something of the order of 120 people were involved in very serious and quite unnecessary acts of violence, damaging property, assaulting Australians who are merely doing their job.
The whole event was quickly turned around by Radicon the next day, and the detainees were portrayed as a violent mob when in reality the bad treatment from ACM staff resulted in this riot.
They've been really belligerent and uncooperative. I stood up and asked them, oh, so what's going on? Like, why are you all here today? And he goes, oh, because you're here. And I said, oh, that's interesting. We've just come to visit. And he said, yeah, that's okay. And I said, well, we came and visited yesterday. And we didn't actually have an escort of 3 police cars, so I was just wondering what was different about today. And he goes, it's Sunday. Like, they're just being fucked.
All the cops have gone around the back, something fucking big is going down. The other 4 of them have gone down with the video camera.
Well, we should go over there in case they're arresting people.
We want freedom for you! Hello!
Hello.
We support you, we want freedom for you. We came to visit today and we were not allowed in. So we've come round the back to say hello.
We bought gifts for you.
Hello!
Salam.